Hello and welcome to this News 9 special. The new National Curriculum Framework was released by the Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan and is in tune with the National Education Policy. Now, according to the new curriculum framework, board exams will be held twice in a year. Also, students in classes 9 and 10 will need to learn 3 languages. That is to say, a native language, probably 2 Indian languages, and of course, a foreign language, of which at least 2 will be native to India is what they say. Then in classes 11 and 12, students will have to learn 2 languages. This includes 1 Indian origin language as well. Now, currently, students in classes 9 and 10 study 2 languages, 1 Indian and 1 foreign, and the students in class 11 and 12 study 1 language, which is to say just 1 Indian language. Now, the NCF says that they are trying to get the students to a literary level of linguistic capacity in at least one Indian language. This has been the insistence that Indian languages should have that literary level at which the students are able to have that literary level of understanding of these Indian languages, and therefore the idea is to also promote Indian languages in that case. But however, how does this in fact work out on the ground? Well, the National Curriculum Framework, the new changes that have been made, has had its own effect as well. And also on the textbook front, where the new syllabus might be incorporated, and also the changes that were being spoken about also will be incorporated in those textbooks. Interestingly enough, I think one of the things that we have to understand when it comes to the changes is that the level at which there has been an attempt to ensure that the pressure on board exams are taken away from the students of class 11 and 12. So, in 12, if you are going for your class boards and having to write it twice, we are still trying to find out the minor details associated with it, but it is saying that you would be able to keep the best scores that you get from that aspect as well. This probably tries to remove the kind of pressure that is there on a year-end exam that tends to in fact pushes the student to the fact that he has to write the board exam as well as go ahead and also write for the competitive exams for the courses that he would pursue after his 11th and 12th. So that is another aspect of it, and therefore, well, is that enough or is it going to be an additional burden? In the studio, I'm joined by my colleague Kabir Naqvi, and let me ask Kabir, if you were a student and whether
I am a student, Varghese. I am a student.
Okay, you are a student. Would you like to write your board exams twice a year?
No, I wouldn't. But I understand why this is happening. You see, all across my student life, it just so happens, and I think that's the way of life. You know, you are only able to make sense of what your teachers and what your parents were telling you in retrospect. Once you're out of school, you know, those lessons that my father used to tell me that, you know,
I hope your teachers are listening to what you say.
Pay, you know, more attention inside the class. You won't have to do as much of, you know, homework at home. All those little tidbits and, you know, techniques, I now understand why it was, you know, being told to us. So when the government, the administration and the school, the entire body, because there is proper brainstorming behind the NCF and the NEP as well. National Education Policy, there's a lot of, you know, dissent, but there is a lot of acceptance as well. The same goes for the National Curricular Framework. Now, over here, not just about the 2 board exams, Varghese. There's a lot of other good steps also. Climate change is going to be in focus. There is no hard separation between commerce, science, and
the multidisciplinary
the vocational and the academic pedagogy is going to, the lines between that is going to blur. Essentially suggesting that अगर आपके बच्चे को कुछ ऐसा सब्जेक्ट पढ़ना है जो कि एक स्कूल में नहीं ऑफर किया जा रहा, तो वो सब that all of that will completely change. You will now have the agency of choosing multidisciplinary you know courses which will in turn, you know, the development is going to be a little more holistic. Coming to the language point now.
But since you talked about multidisciplinary approach, right. I mean, across abroad, you have schools abroad, all of them do not tend to keep, you know, science as science. They do have humanity subjects also associated with it, and this is the reason why
it's a good step.
It's a good step. In fact, but the kind in India that has been a rigid kind of a wall.
Absolutely.
And
you know, in my school
now,
also,
when you look at elementary education, if you're trying to break that down at that level, I think it goes a long way, because the products that you're getting, you know, people are able to mix and match.
I had batchmates who wanted to pursue psychology whilst studying a PCM course, right? You had somebody who was doing a biology course but wanted to to do geography along with it. What a beautiful, combination it might tend out to be.
We have with us Dr. Onika Malhotra, who's an educationist who joins us on Zoom. Dr. Onika Malhotra, how do you in fact see this aspect of the changes in the NCF? I and my colleague Kabir are having this debate that, when you have to go for board exam twice a year, are you adding to one more exam into the life of the students? Because at the end of the day, more than the boards, the importance more than the boards is for the competitive exams after you finish your boards. You go start writing JEE, NET, and especially for class 12 students, it's a pressure thing. I think that it's an additional burden.
So
Kabir thinks it's a different thing. What is your opinion on it?
Is it an addition or is it a revision? That's the idea.
Yeah, the idea is like, is it an addition or a revision?
All right. As far as the pressure goes, yes, the board always had the pressure, the kind of terror in the mind of a student. But if you remember the continuous comprehension evaluation pattern that we did, that also had in continuity. So somewhere down the line, as mentioned by your co-panelists, that board के लिए February में तैयारी करेंगे. Those ones who were not regular. Yes, the regular students did their studies throughout the year. But mostly people used to study in the month of Feb or Jan or December so that they can plan for the board. That was it. But now when you're having 2 board exams, I feel there'll be continuation from a child's side to be regular, to be attentive, and not just have a laid-back attitude and plan the board for the heck of planning it and just passing it, because the child started feeling that, oh, we have the competitive exam, which is more important than the board exam. So these, I think, is a mixture of thought process. The change was needed. Let's see how it goes about. We have variation of children, some with higher IQ level, some with short attention span. So there are variation, yes. Let's see how it pans out. But I just hope and pray that the curriculum part is well divided.
Again, we are also joined in by Arsh Arora, who's also an educationist who joins us. Arsh, how do you in fact see the new changes in the NCF? Of course, the debate we were having in the studio is that whether it's an addition aspect of an exam into the life of a 12th standard student, or is it a revision aspect that has been added to it? So how do you in fact see twice a year board exam in this aspect?
Thank you very much for having me. And my view as a coach is that I come from that school of thought where we had only one board exam and there were not many choices are there. There were not exposure, there was no internet that time. But now we live in an era where we have entire universe just under the click. So having 2 board exams will definitely prove really good for the students because they will be well prepared. They will be ahead of the ecosystem and the competition. And they will also feel that there is a continuous interaction there with the universities, with the board exams, with the curriculum, and they will know where they stand every 3 months or every 4 months. And that we have also seen in the unit test as well, which happen in the schools, that the children are continuously knowing where they stand and they can actually prepare themselves accordingly.
They can prepare themselves. We have in the studio also with us, we have Arnab Mitra, who joins us from the education desk. Arnab, when you heard this new changes, how did you react to it? How do you think it's a good move? It's an additional burden.
How are the netizens also reacting to
how
this?
How are netizens are reacting to it?
So it's obviously a good move because single year exam is actually creates a lot of pressure on the mind of the students. Think that you are studying the whole thing, you appear for the exam, and also the international boards, like if you think of the global boards, they have a semester system. And when the universities, when they are appearing for the university exams, when we have the semester systems, this move will help the students to get more marks, to prepare better, and on the need time, they can also prepare for the competitive exams. We have the sweat, we have the board exams now. The semester system obviously help the students.
Essentially, the pressure is not piling up, no. So I've got one more vote on my side here.
Okay.
Because I would have loved this in my school time as well. I would have waited for a mid-semester board examination and then go on to the board examination. Whatever I had learned mid-calendar, that academic, that pedagogical revision would have worked out for me later on in my final exam.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting enough. In fact, when you're talking about the final exam, I think a lot of people go for this crash studies as
Right,
such.
right.
But I think that is what they
That's
want
what
to
I
try to
ended up
avoid.
doing, a crash study. It worked out just fine. I'm here, aren't I? But, you know, the thing is, if it was a little more streamlined and probably, you know, a word from the Parents Association or some more, you know, educators with us on the panel will, of course, throw more light on it, because it's not just about the board examination. Climate is being emphasized upon. There is other stuff. And the most important fact is that there is clear-cut definition that you don't need a rigid structure between vocational and hardcore academic courses. It can be multidisciplinary, which is the name of the game today.
Well, multidisciplinary also. Like we have Anubhav Srivastava, who's also joining us on the on the show. We have Anubhav Srivastava, who's educationist as well as the president of IWPA, who is joining us. Anubhav, your first reactions to the changes that have been made in the NCF?
Yeah, thank you for having me here, and it's a very important discussion which we are having today. And see, as far as the board examinations are concerned, CBSE and icse has done it 2 years back, and they have done with this experiment of board exam in 2 terms. And most of the students were not happy, were not satisfied because they were not prepared for the first term. As far as the second term is concerned, students were more prepared. As I'm talking about the 12th board students, because 12th board students, they appear for several entrance exams, which starts right from December. Now, in the month of December, if we are having entrance exam, at the same time we are having board exam, how these students are going to prepare both the exams? Either you scrap entrance exam, or you scrap board exams, or there has to be some coordination between the education department and all the stakeholders also. They should take suggestions first from the students, and then they should come up with such policy. And yeah, no doubt there will be less pressure on the students. Maybe in 10 students may cope up, but as far as 12 students are concerned, 12 board students will have a lot of pressure, because they are not prepared by the end of second term, that which is by November. These students prepare for entrance exam. Their more focus is on entrance exam, because nowadays every university.
Anubhav, thank
Yeah.
you for in fact raising that point. That is the point that I was raising, that their focus is more on the entrance exam. At least I have one vote on my counter, Kabir, compared to yours.
All right, all right. I'm going to take this question to Advocate Sahai with us. Advocate Sahai, hi, Kabir this side. You know, these complications that you're talking about, you know, 10th and 12th, the difference between the 10th graders and the 12th graders, some of them might cope up, some of them might not be able to cope up. But in my school, I remember for all the science back students and all the commerce background students, there were mock tests that were in any case happening throughout the year. There were mock tests that had no weightage. People would, you know, sit them out, not revise, not prepare enough for them, basically not even take those mock tests seriously. In case we have a board exam in the middle of the calendar, people might just take it, a little more seriously. And who's to say that revision won't work out in the end? And because the pressure is going to be elevated from the shoulders of these 12th graders, they can then focus on these competitive exams, can't they? कहने को तो सब ये बोलते हैं पढ़ाई करने वाला पढ़ाई कर लेगा. The one who has to crack the exam will indefinitely crack the exam by hook or by crook. I mean, that's the way the world works. But 2 board exams definitely seems like a better bargain, doesn't it?
See, 2 board exams, I am not denying that it is not a good move. Definitely, it will not put much pressure on students. What I am trying to tell is that nowadays, if you want to take admission after 12, your 12th marks are not considered, except in IIT. In most of the institutions, you just have to score 60% or 65% or maybe 50% in NEET also. So students are not focusing on 12th board. They are focusing more on entrance exam. And they're preparing specially for entrance exam. Otherwise, they will have to waste another 1 year. So what I have seen over these years, over past few years,
Right.
because of this entrance exam culture, in school, students are not focusing on school education. They are focusing more. Yeah, there will be less pressure. I am not denying that. There will be
Okay.
less pressure on students. But how are you going to convince those students who are going to appear for entrance exam? They will not be prepared. They will not agree. We may give option. We can have this. We can implement this policy by giving an option to students that if you want 2 term, if you want to appear in 2 term or 1 term, it is up to you. Let's start with this thing. Don't again put pressure on students by introducing such policies, especially on 12th graders. And I have taken a poll just now. And more than 50% students are not in favor of this two-term
Okay,
policy. They are
okay.
in favor of exam.